Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hidayah binti Azman. Today, I will review an article titled Risk Sharing versus Risk Shifting in Islamic Banks. It is written by Sunil Khandelwal and Khalid Al-Jifri. This article is published by Journal of Islamic Accounting and Business Research. In this article, the purpose of this paper is to determine which modes of financing are most commonly used by Islamic banks when providing financing to their customers. The authors divide the financing contracts into two categories: risk sharing and risk shifting. This classification could also be summed up as debt versus equity financing. The structure of the contract creates debt for the client, which the client must repay in debt-based modes of financing. In Islamic debt-based modes of finance, this could take the form of a deferred murabahah price that the client must pay later, or rental payments that the client must pay in lease-based modes of finance. The client is required to pay rents as well as the purchase price of units owned by the banks in diminishing musyarakah. Even though no money loan is provided in debt-based modes of finance, the structure of the contract makes the client liable to pay either the asset price or rental fees for the use of the asset. According to the authors, risk-shifting contracts include murabahah, ijarah, and diminishing musyarakah. The bank can shift the risk by selling the asset quickly, as in murabahah, or by agreeing on a payment schedule with the client, under which the client is responsible for rental payments. The bank is effectively able to shift the risk for all practical purposes because the payment schedule is agreed with the client at the outset through a unilateral binding undertaking. The risk is shared rather than shifted in equity-based modes of financing, such as musyarakah and mudarabah. The payoffs are shared by both partners. If the partnership makes a profit, it is divided among the partners according to a predetermined profit-sharing ratio. If the partnership loses money, the loss is divided according to the capital contribution on ratio. As a result, mudarabah and musyarakah are classified as risk-sharing contracts by the author. Risk-shifting contracts are used by the vast majority of Islamic banks according to the empirical analysis. The use of risk-sharing contracts is extremely rare. The authors do not provide any explanations. However, the most common reasons cited by practitioners are that this tendency is due to high risk of moral hazard, high risk of adverse selection, high information on asymmetries, lack of transparency and monitoring complexities, high exposure to risk discouraged by BASEL risk weightage mechanism, and which also goes beyond the expectation on and tolerance of funding clients, in example, depositors and shareholders. Moral hazard refers to the difference in behavior between situations where the client's own capital is at risk and situations where the client is only acting as an agent. This risk is greatest in mudarabah because the Rabbul Ma'al, investing partner, is responsible for all financial loss if it occurs, while the mudarrib, working partner, is not. Due to information asymmetry and adverse selection, the bank will be approached primarily by clients seeking equity financing who are at a higher risk of losing money. Debt financing is less expensive for profitable businesses. However, businesses that are losing money and expect to lose money in the future will be drawn to equity financing. To identify, evaluate, and screen clients, the bank can only rely on documented information. Clients know more about themselves than the bank does. If a client reports losses, it's difficult to tell whether the loss was caused by negligence or by factors beyond the client's control, such as economic downturns, sales decline due to political instability, lockdowns, and so on. Finally, the BASEL requirements suggest that equity financing carries higher risk weight than debt financing. As a result, banks prefer secure, low-risk financing to meet capital adequacy requirements. All of these factors are cited by practitioners as to why equity financing is used so infrequently in current Islamic banking practice. These risk-sharing contracts can, however, be strengthened by including certain covenants. For example, a tier-based profit-sharing ratio that excludes certain common expenses from being deducted from revenues while also requiring clients to contribute capital. In Pakistan, one example of using risk-sharing based contracts after introducing certain covenants is running musyarakah. However, it is critical that such covenants do not become yet another tool for achieving the same end results in terms of cash flows as a debt-based mode of financing. It's critical to maintain the risk-sharing spirit and essence. Thank you.